Hi, welcome to the video. So today I'm going to cover all the fundamentals you need to get you started playing music. How to read tablature, how to tune your guitar, hand position, practice tips, exercises to help you with strength and coordination. So let's go and jump into this. The one thing I'm not covering that is good for beginners is how to read chord boxes and how to play chords, because I have a whole video specifically on that. So if you go to my channel, I have over 150 instructional videos. If you go to the fundamentals playlist, that's the one aimed at beginners and intermediate players. One of the first videos on that will be one on reading open chords and playing open chords. I also have one on an overview of what to practice, all the way from a beginner up to very advanced players. So you can check out some of those. All of my videos, if they have tablature or notes, like this one, these are notes for this one. You can download them for free on my Patreon page. You don't have to be a member. It's always open to the public for everything I print out for notes or tab, and the link is in the description. So let's jump into how to read this. So basically, tab is specific to guitar. There's 6 lines instead of standard music, which has 5. Each one of those lines represent one of your strings. So if you go down here to the bottom line that I wrote here as a note, the thickest string. So that would be this string, and then the top line would be a thinnest string, and then you just have all the other ones in between. On the side I also wrote which string is. It seems opposite to a lot of people, but traditionally this is considered your first string. And so first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way up to sixth. So if you see me hear me referring to a number, remember that this is your first string. Next to the lines, I also wrote the letters, and those are the notes. If you use a tuner, which we'll talk about in a second, you can tune each string to the letter that corresponds to it. So the main elements of reading tablature is the 6 lines representing your 6 strings, and then there's numbers. The numbers represent which space or fret. These spaces are called frets. The metal wire is also called a fret. Which fret you place your finger in. So when you place your finger in a fret, you want to be close to the side towards the body of your guitar, so close to here. That will require less pressure than if you're on the other side. You don't want to be on top of it. That will create a buzzing sound. So close, but not on top of it. So like right now, how this would be notated is I'm on my 6th string, and I'm on the 3rd fret. 1, 2, 3. If you notice, most guitars have dots in the positions that mine do, which is at 3, 5, 7, 9, and double dot at 12. Double dot is the same notes as an open note without laying fingers down. And then everything just repeats itself. Okay. The dots are just to help you find your way quickly, so that if you see a 5, you know, okay, that's my 2nd dot. Then you just have to know which string it's on. So, for example, if there's a 0, on this case, it's written on the 5th string, or the A string. Then that means I'm just going to go, this is 6 down the 5th string, and we hit open note. 0 means open. There's no frets you're placing your finger on. If it said, for example, the 5, then that would mean, and that was, if you notice, on the 3rd line down or 4th line up, which would be considered your 4th string. So if I go here and just count from either direction, but to this 4th string, and then go to the 5th fret. So that's what that would mean. So wherever the number is, you place your finger on that fret, and then the string would tell you which string, the lines would tell you which string it's on. If there's 2 notes over top of each other, that just means they're played at the same time. So in this case, it's a 0 and a 2. So 0 here, 2 here. So that would be a basic chord. That would technically be an E power chord or E5 chord. It would be. So there's a lot of other notations for things like slides, vibratos, and other techniques are more advanced. But to get you started, really, if you just know the numbers are the fret and the lines are the strings, that will get you through a lot of the basic songs you'll be learning. I'm not going to teach any songs on here, because there's tons of songs available for free. Go Songs to Your Ultimate Guitar, any of those places, and you find thousands of songs. So just look up something you're interested in. Don't worry if it's too hard, though some of them have categorized by difficulty. Just play the pieces that you can play. At first, it doesn't matter if you play the whole song. You know, some good things to start off with maybe is just something really simple, like a vocal part from like a Christmas song or a kid's song or a movie or TV theme song or something like that. It's a simple melody. Okay, so let's go on. So that was tab. The main thing to remember is the thickest string is this one, and the thinnest is this. Now, I'd recommend after a few days of practicing, come back and watch the video again, because you'll probably have forgotten things. A lot of times when I teach a student once a week, when they come back the second week, there's some element they've either forgotten technique-wise or are making mistakes on they have to correct. Since I can't correct you, if you go back and watch the video, you can hopefully correct yourself. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is tuning. So I already talked about these are the letters you're going to be tuning to. You can download free apps on your phone from, like Fender has a free app. There's lots of them available to tune your guitar. You can also use a physical tuner, and some amps have tuners built into it too, like this. If it's green, and the one bad thing on this, with a microphone, you can also plug into it. If you got electric, it will also pick up any sound that's around you. So if you're talking, it will pick up that too sometimes. I mean, on this, see right there, it's kind of picking up. If it's green and in the center, that's pretty much a uniform. Some don't have this meter type, some just have like the lighted arrows. That means it's in tune. If it's red and to one side or another, that means if it's to this side, like right there, it's sharp. When it's there, you need to loosen the string. If it's on the other side, it's flat, you need to tighten the string. Now, the other thing you have to make sure you pay attention to, if you notice on here, it says the letter name. So this one doesn't light up. Some of them light up. The letters are just easier to see. You need to make sure you tune to that letter. If it's very far out of tune, it might be on a completely different letter. The letters that are available on guitar are just the first 7 of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, F, G, then it starts over at A. So if, for example, you're tuning the B string on it, and it's up to C, so row note here, then you need to, if you're going this direction, you need to loosen the string. If you're going this direction, you need to tighten the string. So you just have to get to the letter. Now, in between a lot of these, like here, you might have the sharps and flats that I talked about a second ago. So the sharps just look like that, and the flat looks like kind of a small B. So on the guitar, if I've been playing like an A note, A sharp is a fret higher, A flat is a fret lower. It's the same thing. The natural notes without sharps and flats would be the white keys on piano. The black keys would be the sharps and flats. So anytime I'm on a sharp, I need to loosen the string to get back to the natural notes. If I'm on a flat, I need to tighten the string. Now, it's basically the same as what we were talking about before. If it's D sharp, again, you're going to that direction. And then anytime you're going that direction, you loosen. If you're going this direction, now that could be called C sharp or D flat. It doesn't matter. If you're trying to get to D, you need to go this direction, which would mean you tighten the string, just like I wrote down here. All right, so that's the basics of tuning. If you're still not sure, if you're buying a tuner, there should be instructions on it. Or feel free to ask wherever you bought it, them to demonstrate it, or leave a comment on my video, and I'll try and help you out more. Okay, so let's go jump into some of the actual playing part. So first, if you're using a guitar pick, you could use your fingers, but most styles outside classical and flamenco and some jazz or blues players, most players use a pick. There's some famous ones that don't, but the vast majority use a pick. So the thickness is personal taste more so, and the shape to some extent too. So basically what you want to do is just bend your first finger. This is a basic way that most people do it. Some people you might see do different methods, but bend your first finger and then lay your thumb sandwiched right across from it. And then basically you're going to put the pick halfway between the two. So that then, if I lay my pick flat on the string, I can then pick those notes. And you can do as simple or as complex a picking as you want as you get into it. But first, just keep it in not a death grip, just a kind of relaxed grip, but strong enough that it doesn't move around. If it moves around, don't worry about it, just readjust it. You can take it and just get used to just moving around and getting it back to the position you need to. Don't get too much to the end of the pick though, you won't be able to control it as well. It'll be too floppy. So keep that about halfway. Okay, so now let's go and jump into the exercise. So in playing this exercise, you want to have whatever you're playing, your wrist in a fairly relaxed position. You don't want it drastically bent either way. I did a whole video on avoiding injuries, which I'll link up in the corner, that corner. But one of the things you want to avoid is drastic Binzot can cause you carpal tunnel or tendonitis. So you want your wrist in a fairly relaxed position, which means a relatively straight position. If you're feeling a lot of tension one way or another, that's not good if you're doing long sessions of practice. And anytime if it starts hurting, especially in the joint, muscles, if your forearm just gets tired, that's not as big a deal. But if you're feeling pain in the elbow, in the wrist, place like that, take a break, stop. Don't injure yourself. Okay, so this exercise, we're going to start at 7th fret. So again, if you have the dots, 3 dots up. If at first the 6th string, we're going to start on the 6th string, but if that's too much of a stretch, because that's a little bit harder to reach, you can start on the 1st string. It doesn't matter. And even what fret you start at, most people can do 7th fret when they start off. But if you find that that's too big a stretch still, you can move up to like 8th, 9th frets. The frets get smaller as you move up. So that's the only reason I'm starting at 7, so it's not such a stretch. You could start back at 1st fret, and as you get more flexible, I'd recommend you gradually move your way back till you can start at the 1st fret. So the basic exercise, all I'm going to do, so first let me show you hand position. A lot of times you'll see people wrap their thumb. For certain things, that's okay. But if you need to bar finger across flat, or if you need to stretch your hand, you don't want to wrap your thumb because it makes it basically physically impossible to do so. If you watch, at least especially on the bass strings, if I put my finger at 7 and I have my thumb low in about the middle or lower half of it, towards the ground, I can open up my hand. I can spread my fingers fully. When I do that, I can reach a long distance. Now, if I bring my thumb up, I physically, at that point, can't separate my hand. I literally can't even go 3 frets hardly with my thumb up like that on this string. As you lower it, you can spread it out. So for now, because this can be kind of a stretch, keep it low. Now, you're going to place your finger right behind the metal fret, and then just pick that note. It's okay if you touch other strings. In fact, it's good, because then those strings won't make as much noise if you accidentally hit one of them. So that's okay. So you don't have to be on the tip of your finger for this. For chords, that's a different thing. Sometimes you have to be on the tip of the finger so you don't muffle other strings you want to ring out. But now you don't want the other strings to ring out. So you just play at 7. Then we reach up with my 2nd finger. And keep the 1st finger down to keep me in position. So that's just a good habit for staying in position. So that's something I'm trying to get you to develop with this exercise, along with the coordination and strength. So you're going to play 8. Now, the reason you don't want to be on top of the fret is it'll buzz. The reason you don't want to be away from it too much towards this side, you want to be towards the body, is because it takes more strength to hold this down and get a clean note. If you're right next to a fret, it takes less strength. So now I'm going to use my 3rd finger. So when I'm saying finger numbers, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not going to use our thumb to fret notes, so we don't count that. So just 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm using all 4 fingers. I'm not picking up the fingers because I don't want you getting used to doing this back and forth. If you can reach the notes, you want to stay in position. That way I can more easily come back to the notes if I need to, rather than jumping around with one finger or moving my hand every time. So that's basically the exercise. Now I'm just going to move through all the strings. So at first do it super slow. The only thing that matters isn't speed, it's how clean you get the notes. So run through all the strings. If you get tired, again, you don't have to run through all of them. It's fine. Just do what you can at the first. If that's feeling pretty good for you, then try and reverse it. Now, when I reverse it, I can't keep my fingers down because you only hear the finger that's closest to the side. That's why keeping them down when I'm going this way doesn't change the sound any. It's just for positioning. So when I move this way, I have to pick up the fingers, but I still want to keep them over the frets. Now, you might have noticed I'm doing down-up picking. When you first try this, don't even worry about that. Do that once you start feeling comfortable with it. It's okay just to do downstrokes when you first start off, which is what most people do naturally. Because I really want you to focus on good position on your finger and getting clean notes is the main thing I want you to focus on first. Once you get that down, then go to down-up picking, because down-up picking, if you think about it, if I do a downstroke twice in a row, I still have to come up. So I'm wasting that potential extra note I could hit in the same amount of movement versus down, down. I could be playing notes twice as fast doing down-up. So eventually you want to go down-up. The notation for down-up is written right here. So, here. So the kind of V-like shape is up, and the other one that's kind of like three corners of a box is the down symbol. Same symbol is used for strumming, down and up. Okay, so underneath that exercise I wrote, use all four fingers on each string, keep the thumb in the middle or lower half, start on the thickest string, but again, you can start on whatever string you're able to do. That's okay. Some other tips I'll just give you on general practice. It doesn't, how many hours you practice isn't the only determining factor of how quickly you progress. You're better off doing like 15, 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week, than doing the same amount of time all in one day. So, and 2 hours a week, all done in 1 or 2 days, is less effective than 2 hours a week spread out over 5, 6 days. Because when you take too many days off in between, you kind of have to start over and try and remember what you did. And you don't build that consistency of practice, and also just that ingraining what you're learning into your muscle memory and your mind. So try and practice more consistently more often than do it all in one day. You'll progress quicker. Some other things to think about: always challenge yourself. If you have something down to where you can feel like, yeah, I got this down, then go ahead and move on to something that challenges you more. That's fine. Especially if it's something that's relatively easy. You know, once something's easy for you, you're not going to keep progressing if you just keep playing easy things. It's like if you're lifting weights. If you can lift 10 pounds, no problem, you should go 15. You should keep building up more and more. Same thing with guitar. Always go a little bit more efficient, a little bit faster, a little bit more complex, something that challenges you. Again, I got a ton of videos. Check out my playlist on fundamentals that covers most of my beginning and intermediate videos. But I've also got actually more videos for advanced players. So as you progress, you can get to those. Any questions, leave a comment. I always answer all of my questions if you comment on one of my videos. So good luck with it. Stick with it. Perseverance is the key over talent. I'd always rather have a student that works hard than a student that's talented. They end up succeeding at a higher rate. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.